Hey, ¿qué tal amigos? Stuart here from Spain Speaks. Today coming to you from the center of Madrid, the Retiro Park. And it's 8 o'clock in the morning, so there's not a lot of people around, but by 11, 12 o'clock, this area that I'm sitting in here will be absolutely crowded with tourists. And that's what we're going to be speaking about today, the rise of a problem known as tourist phobia. If you've never heard of this problem before, you're not alone. I hadn't heard of it until a couple of months ago when I saw in the local newspapers here that a lot of the local residents in the center of some Spanish cities were complaining about the amount of tourism and the amount of tourists that were invading their buildings. And this weekend in particular, or this week, we're celebrating here in Madrid the World Pride event, and there's hundreds and thousands of visitors visiting the city at the moment. So all of the infrastructure is really being challenged. Now, if you've ever visited a Spanish city, some of the big ones, Madrid, Barcelona, some of the more touristy places, Seville, Granada, Malaga, Canary Islands, Palma de Mallorca, Ibiza, you'll know that tourism is probably the main activity for a lot of people living in these places. But in the last few years, the situation has really got out of control, especially in Barcelona, Palma de Mallorca, where tourist numbers have increased enormously, mainly because of these cruise ships that come in, and thousands of people hop off these ships and go into the cities and flood the bars, the restaurants, the tourist attractions. And for people that have to live with this, it can be extremely difficult, let's say, to find the harmony between the good points and the bad points of tourism. I don't have the problem. I only come into the city here to work. I can notice that there is, on every day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday through to Sunday, enormous amounts of tourists, especially in these, spring, summer months. And on one side, it's fantastic for the businesses. The businesses always have plenty of clientele, so obviously they're not complaining. But for the local residents, there is a problem. And with the advent of websites such as Airbnb, the situation's exacerbated over the last few years because normal people have the opportunity to rent their houses to tourists. Before, when only you had hotels, the amount of tourists that could come to a city was virtually limited. But nowadays with Airbnb, potentially there's no limits to the amount of people that can come and find accommodation in a city like Madrid, Barcelona, Palma de Mallorca, etc. And it's creating problems for local people and also for local workers in places like Ibiza, people that are going to the island to work in the restaurants, the pubs, the discotheques, etc. can't find accommodation because firstly, it's too expensive, and secondly, people are not willing, or the landlords are not willing to rent long term. They're only after short-term rentals where obviously there's more money in it for them. So that's causing an enormous problem. Barcelona, specifically, again, because it's a coastal area, some of the areas or some of the neighborhoods closer to the beach have been overrun by people putting their apartments on Airbnb. And it's getting to the situation where neighbors are beginning to clash over this because tourists obviously come to Spain looking for a good time, they have a few drinks, they come back late at night, and for the people that are living with this constantly, it's becoming a real problem. I remember a few years ago I was interested in Airbnb and I was looking at places in a few cities in Spain, and there were 20, 30, 40 places available, but now there's hundreds of places, in some cases thousands of places available, always in some of the peak tourist areas and in normal buildings. So if you get a building where 10 out of the 35 flats are being rented for tourist purposes, for the people that are living in those areas, obviously it becomes a bit of a nightmare. Not to mention the legal aspect when it comes to paying taxes or having the proper services for tourists, which obviously is what hotels and legal tourist accommodation has. In this sense, this is where the dilemma is. Also for the people living in these cities, living in the center of Madrid, living in the center of Barcelona, it's more difficult to find places in restaurants. The quality sometimes goes down as well. it just becomes an uncomfortable experience, and people are starting to rebel. Now, I spoke to one of my students in Barcelona about this, so let's listen to that conversation. I saw Barcelona was in the news this week, Xavi, about tourist phobia. Have you heard about this?
Well, I mean, now it's like a new, no? A chase that is like some kind of phobia, no? Against tourism. I think they're part of tourism, they're part of Barcelona that's really crazy, no? It's like, I would assume that it's like to live in Times Square in New York, no? It's amazing, no? Unbelievable, no? You cannot live there, no? For the thousands of tourists every day, no?
So it is that bad, is it? There's thousands and thousands of people just invading the city all the time?
There are parts of Barcelona that are crazy. The people of the neighborhood could not live there, no? Because you're not going to compete against the tourist apartment, no?
Yep.
And then it's like something that is split and increase every day, no? The parts of Barcelona, like the Barceloneta close to the beaches, no? Las Ramblas, and some parts of Barcelona, even Paseo Gracia, sometimes they're crazy, no?
So from a business point of view, it's fantastic if you've got a business in the tourist trade, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, in that case, it's amazing because sometimes you have a restaurant. The problem is that you have like lunch from 2 to 4, no? And have dinner maybe from 8 to 10, something like that, no?
Yep.
But then with tourist people, you split that, or you spread that, no? So it could start from, as I said, from 8 to 12 p.m. So it's amazing. It's like 16 hours open. So that means that you have 2-3 times more turnover than a normal restaurant.
Now, another reason for the increase in numbers here in Spain of tourists is that Spain's main competition, the north of Africa, Tunisia, Egypt, countries like that, obviously they've been going through some problems in the last 5 or 6 years, and that means that more people are looking to come to Spain. So it's a fantastic situation for some, a bad situation for others. And again, the Spanish economy depends a lot on tourism. I think it's something between 15 and 20% of the GDP, and there's about 15 or 20% of the active population employed in this as well, and that increases in the summer months as the tourist numbers pick up. So it's going to be a bit of a problem for legislators, for politicians to deal with this, especially mayors of some of these cities, Palma, Barcelona, Madrid, Seville, Granada. So we'll see how they deal with this problem. But for the time being, locals are going to have to live with the influx. And probably if you're looking to come and live in Spain, starting a business that's related to tourism, so if it's a restaurant, bar, some type of tourist activity, it could be a good idea to look into that. So that's all I've got for you today. Any questions or comments, please leave them in the section below. I'll see you in the next vlog. Hasta luego.